Imagine we take a SAR bomb into space, drop it, and nuke the moon. Well, what will happen? Well, you'll have to wait to find out, as we will explore the probable outcome and consequences nuking the moon may have on us and our solar system in general. And please don't forget to subscribe to our channel, Futurephile, to watch more fascinating videos on futuristic tech. Dropping a nuclear bomb on the moon and destroying it will have a vast amount of consequences on our solar system. However, to understand the severity of these consequences, we first have to understand how important the moon is, its relationship to the Earth, Sun, and the solar system in general. The moon and the sun are perhaps the two most pivotal pieces in the solar system, and they have drawn the attention of mankind for many years and have seen many research done on them. It can be argued that the presence of these two is almost the source and the reason for life for the 7 billion people that planet Earth hosts, as well as the rest of the existence of the Earth's infinite fauna and flora. In essence, what this means is that the absence of these two would be detrimental to all life forms on Earth and even actually could be the absence of existence. For planet Earth and in the solar system at large, the sun, when compared to the moon, is probably the most salient of the two because of its size, which is almost double the physical size of all planets combined. The size of all planets' radii combined adds up to approximately 392,752.4 kilometers, while the sun's radius is 696,340 kilometers. Literally, it is close to double the combined radii size of all planets. Another reason we could say the sun is more notable when being compared to the moon is because of its absolutely scorching heat. According to researchers, the surface of the sun is about 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit hot, which is about 5,600 degrees Celsius. Other reports say that the sun's corona, which is the outermost layer of the sun that lies 7 million to 10 million kilometers above the sun's surface, is a blazing 1 million degrees Celsius hot. Moreover, it is said that the temperature from the surface of the sun going towards its center increases to about 15 million degrees Celsius. Tungsten, the strongest natural metal in the world, has a melting point of 3,422 degrees Celsius. This means that tungsten would melt way before it even reached the surface of the sun. In 2017, NASA announces plans to attempt to move closest to the sun. In the following year, 2018, NASA launched the Parker Solar Probe, which came to within 6.2 million kilometers to the sun's surface, the closest to the sun human attempts have been, and still struggled to get a good sight and details of the sun because of its excruciating heat and light. It's clear that attempting to nuke the sun would be a daunting and mighty task, as are the efforts of merely reaching its surface. And considering the size of the sun, it would make it even more difficult to do anything to the sun. Let alone the fact that we still need the sun because of the role the sun plays in the solar system and on planet Earth, such as providing light. It is as of these reasons that a conclusion can be made that the sun is clearly not going anywhere, at least for the time being. But what about the moon? What if the moon was to be nuked? Although the moon is not even close to the size of the sun, the radius of the moon is 1,737.1 kilometers, almost 400 times less than that of the sun, and 4 times less than the Earth, which has a radius of 6,371 kilometers. But despite its size, the moon is still far too big to simply be wiped off just like that. In fact, there would still need to be an enormous amount of force for it to be destroyed. The Apollo 11 crew, led by Commander Neil Armstrong, would better explain how big and strong the moon actually is. Whatever arguments that may be brought, it's fair to say that the moon plays a significant role in the solar system, and particularly to us here on planet Earth. But why is the moon so important to us, and what significance does it have? Well, to answer that question, there are countless roles that the moon plays in the universe. One of the many important functions that the moon plays is to provide us with light at night. The rhyming in that statement tells you how important that information really is. The moon is more than 20,000 miles, 32,000 kilometers away from the Earth, but the light of the moon shines right across the face of the Earth when it's nighttime. The consequences of the absence of the moon would mean the absence of light, which is unimaginable. A power cut at night for a few hours often is a struggle for human activity. How much more inconvenient would humans be if the moon was to disappear for a few hours in the night, or, even worse, if it were to be wiped out of existence? It is said that the next brightest object in the night sky is the planet Venus. Venus, with a magnitude of -4.5, is the third brightest natural object in the sky after the Sun, which has a magnitude of -26.7, and the Moon, which has a -12.7 magnitude. When the planet Venus is at its brightest, it is 20 times brighter than Sirius, the brightest star in the sky, and it is 6 times brighter than Jupiter, which is the next brightest planet after Venus. The distance between the two planets, Earth and Venus, is estimated to be more than 250,000 kilometers apart. And although this distance is lesser than the distance between the Earth and the Moon, in the absence of the Moon, Venus would not be able to sufficiently light up the night sky of the Earth. Despite the ongoing debates of whether the Moon is either a star or a planet, 52 years after the first humans to step on it, it is without a doubt that the Moon continues being an important astronomical body, as they call it. There are countless other negative impacts that would arise if the Moon was to be wiped out of the face of our universe. One of the many negative effects that would be impacted is the tides the Moon has on the Earth. In a nutshell, tides control the sea and water levels of the Earth. Tides make sure that water levels on the Earth are well regulated and that they do not rise high above the normal sea level. And the world is around 70% water or ocean. The importance of tides cannot be emphasized more. Another key role the Moon plays is its effect on the Earth's gravity. According to Sir Isaac Newton's law of universal gravitation, every particle in the universe attracts every other particle in the universe with a force that is directly proportional to the product of their masses and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between their centers. Put in simpler terms, the objects in the universe attract and exert an equal force to each other. For example, the Moon and the Earth each exert an equal force on each other, and it can be said that they have become to a certain degree interdependent on each other. What is the significance of this, one might ask? The forces that the two objects exert on each other causes them to orbit each other in an organized and steady manner. This means that if the Moon was to be removed, the force that the Moon exerts on the Earth would likewise be removed. The effects of this would be detrimental and would probably cause the Earth to orbit quicker and more unbalanced than before. The ripple effect that this would have on planet Earth is that nights would be inconsistent in their length and a day would go by even quicker, almost half of the current 24 hours. Quicker days would mean more days in a month and subsequently almost triple the current 365 days calendar year. So, it is clear that the abolition of the Moon would have major impacts on the world. Many argue differently on the nuking of the Moon, and it's evident that the removal would require a massive amount of effort. But what do you think would happen if the Moon were to be nuked? Do you think that life would continue as normal, or perhaps a new way of life would arise? If you like watching this video, you may also watch the video shown on the end screen. See you there!